If you are in that cycle where it feels as though no matter what you do with all good intentions, you always end up yo-yoing to some degree, feeling like it goes out the window a little bit in the autumn, winter, and then we tighten right back up, and we always end up doing something a little bit more extreme than we would like to. You know, January comes, we tell ourselves, this is going to be the year I am just going to get consistent. I'm going to do all of the things, take better care of myself, journal before bed. You know what it's like when January comes and we start manifesting and we get our vision boards out and we've got these amazing intentions, and then we get to this time in the year, which is now November, and we realise we're back in the same cycle that we always get caught in. It's like a fly trap. Ladies, welcome back to the Nicola Graham Podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, I've got myself a coffee. I'm sitting comfy today. I'm going to give myself a little, let's do the Unfiltered to start this week. I kind of feel as though in the last couple of weeks, I've got lost in the ways of like remembering what this is about. And sometimes I get a little bit nervous before I record a podcast because I want it. I want to make sure that I'm giving you ladies what you need to hear, the best support, recommendations, whatever that might be. And I sort of like got thinking to myself this week, and I thought, Nick, you are speaking to women that you work with already. You are speaking to women that some of whom you know. But at the end of the day, this podcast is being created because the gap that I saw, and this is why Thriving Women is being created, the gap that I spotted is that there's just not enough of us speaking about things the way it is and actually highlighting the elephant in the room. And social media, as we know, is full of the right way to do things and the top 10 foods and the do's and don'ts, and that's great. But really, when it gets to the crux of it, how we are feeling in ourselves, the thoughts that play through our minds, like no one's talking about that stuff. So I thought this week, I'm just going to sit back, get comfy. I'm chatting to you on this week's podcast like I am chatting to, just a group of friends. We're all women at the end of it. I'll give you my Unfiltered. So, and this is honestly, this is, some of you are going to be like, oh my gosh, that is so embarrassing. Others will totally relate. It goes to a meeting this week. I'm working at the moment to build on brand, and business has evolved. My vision has evolved in terms of where I want to take my business, the way in which I want to be able to help women. Anyway, so I'm having like a one-to-one session with a guy who's absolutely amazing, and he was asking me some pretty deep questions. What drives you, what motivates you, how do you want to help, how do you want to impact, what do you see the struggles that like women are going through, and like really deep stuff. But he was trying to remove this surface level, because what can happen is, and you ladies might see this again like on social media, is that every industry kind of gets to this point where everybody's saying the same thing. And actually inside of my coaching business, and you will have seen some of the feedback that I've reposted maybe from clients from time to time, the way in which I work with my clients, it's so one-to-one, it's so personal. Like because it's dependent on your circumstances, your backstory, where you want to get to, what your blockers are, what your weekly schedule is like, where your limiting self-beliefs lie. Like, that's so important. If you don't believe that it's possible to turn around your health and fitness, then we need to work on that. So anyway, we were talking all about this, and I got quite emotional even thinking about the way in which I want to help, because if any of you have listened to the first episode, my big reason why is because I grew up with my mum. Sorry to touch on this again, but it's just so relevant. I grew up with a mum who wasn't filled with self-confidence, and I still have to give my mum loads of confidence now. She gives it back to me. Anyway, I probably shouldn't delve too deep into that, but that's my why. My why is because for me, I see these two sort of parallels almost, is that like we've got this pool of women who we just want to look a certain way, we want to be a certain number on the scale, we just want to be accepted, we just want to lose the weight and feel good. and be accepted and not hate what we see on photographs, not hate what we see in the mirror, not constantly feel as though whenever we see ourselves on a photograph, we're looking at our friends or we're looking at the other women thinking how fabulous they look, and we can never see that in ourselves. Like, that's a deeper issue than just, I just need to lose a little bit of weight. And I'm not saying that I'm a therapist or a psychologist, but a lot of this comes down to the way in which we've taken care of ourselves up until this point, and maybe something has been off. And so anyway, we're talking about this, and then he just turned around and he said, so, okay, Nick, what would your version of success look like? And I just started crying. So this is the Unfiltered. Women who are also, like, it was menstrual cycle was brewing, okay? Like, when you're in that 48-hour window, like, it's gonna arrive any moment. And I was like, he'd give me, like, this short video to watch, like this YouTube clip of different people just talking to camera about what their version of success was. Oh my gosh, I could get emotional thinking about it, because there was older people on the video, there was younger people, people at all different stages of life, and it was just really interesting to see how you can see from the different age groups how your version of success changes over time. So as I'm watching the video, I've got my back to him as we're both watching this screen, and I could feel the emotions coming. And I've said this earlier in the week, actually. A client had said to me, Nick, my emotions are wild. And I was like, I can relate. My tears feel like they are just sat in my tear ducts, ready. Like, they are ready to go at any given moment. So I'm sitting there watching this video and I'm thinking, don't cry, Nick. Do not turn around and cry. Like, this is a business meeting. You have got this. Like, going through. Anyway, turned round. He hit me with the question, and the floodgates opened. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like wiping my eyes. And he's so good, this guy. He was just looking at me and he was like, don't worry. Don't worry. But and that makes you feel even more emotional, because someone's almost giving you permission to let it out. And it was just needed. It was needed because I was feeling hormonal. It was time of the month. But yeah, on a total side note, which we will talk about, I'm sure, which is the plan in a future episode, ahead of the festive period, is perimenopause, ladies, because it's a hot topic. We need to talk about what the hell is going on. I would have never done that. Previous to now, I've always been an emotional gal, okay? But ladies, I went to watch Gabby's Dollhouse with my kids and cried through the entire movie. That's not normal. I messaged my husband halfway through, and do you know what it is? It's like the hidden meaning behind things. Sometimes when you watch, like, I don't know if any of you watch Bluey or anything similar, okay, where it's like cartoon movie, like, episodes intended for the kids, but there's always, like, the writers are so clever, there's always something in there it's intended for the parents to reflect on. So we're watching this Gabby's Dollhouse movie, second little Unfiltered. I did pre-warn at the beginning of this episode, some of you are going to be thinking, what on earth is she going on about? And then there'll be another group of you thinking, oh my gosh, Nick, this is me. So the movie is just about this woman who, she forgets how to play. She's all grown up. Like, all of the toys and the items are just collectibles. She loses that spirit. She loses that sort of, like, childhood spirit. And so there's me, thinking, I never want my kids to stop playing. Through the whole movie, messaged my husband. I was like, I'm crying through Gabby's Dollhouse, because we almost make a joke of it, me and the hubs. I've said this, ladies, in previous podcasts. So important that you share with your husband the highs, the lows, the in-betweens, how you are feeling, or your significant other. If you don't feel like you've got that person to speak to, maybe a friend, or come join our community, I would welcome you to come join and, like, share with us, because it's so important to share these highs, lows, and everything in between, because otherwise we feel like we're losing the plot, and we're not. And he was just like, oh, I love you, but you are slightly on the edge. And I was like, I know. Anyway, there's the Unfiltered, ladies. I'm in the thick of it with you, and it is wild times. And I'm also feeling sort of like I've got way less resilience when it comes to temperament and tolerance as well, which I don't like. This is a trait that I think a lot of us battle with. We don't like that trait. Like, we see it kicking in. We see ourselves losing our temper. I've had road rage a couple of times. This really is all for another episode, I'm sure. And And that also is not like me. I'm so normally in my own little world. Like if someone else is raging, I'm like, oh, you do you. Like I'm just quite happy to, no. Like this is a whole other ball game. But more importantly, going back to sort of like my train of thought this week, what do the women that I'm speaking to, what will they benefit from hearing? Like what do we want to talk about? I really want to talk about how to get off this cycle of constantly feeling like on it and off it. And even if you don't identify as someone who is in a yo-yo cycle, I think you will relate to this, because on some level we are, because the change in seasons will just often mean that we naturally tighten up spring, summer. We naturally go through sort of like a bit of a lull, maybe a bit of a period of setting ourselves back. Setting ourselves back, I say in inverted commas, because again, this is all perception based on our why and what we value and where we want to get to. And then the autumn winter kicks in, and it for a lot of women, it feels as though despite your best efforts, it's just not doable. Like there's complete lack of control, and some of it is seasonal, okay, because we do start to eat a little bit more and we move a little bit less. And although I really don't like that kind of very blunt message, eat less, move more, on paper, when the scales tip the other way and you start eating a little bit more and moving less, of course, that is going to equal weight gain. And if you are similar to me, or you know, you're a woman of like, we're in a smaller frame than our partners, but we eat the same. We want to be able to do the same thing. We want to be able to keep up when it comes to drinking, eating out. The hubby gets the snacks out. I want to, be able to have the snacks, and like we just don't consider that, oh, I am in a completely different body and I am like half of your height, which that is me and my hubby. And so, of course, I am just going to gain weight so much quicker. And even if you look around your friendship circle, like look at the women that you surround yourself with, like we've got to consider sometimes if your build and your height and everything else is completely different to those who you're surrounding yourself with, you have got to take that into account when it comes to eating out, the foods that you're ordering, the amount of drinks that you're having, and maybe the amount of effort that comes in when we talk about getting those steps, getting those workouts. So I really want to talk about this week why now is the golden time to get accountability, ladies, wherever that's going to come from, whether it's a community, a coach, like-minded others, your bestie maybe you can start going to the gym with, or you can just even hold each other accountable. I've spoken about this 100 times, but I have always had a coach of some sort, or accountability from someone, always. I just see great value in it. I always want to better myself when it comes to health, fitness, mind, body, always. So whether or not it's paying for Pilates courses or working with like a business coach or, a health and fitness coach. I've worked with many health and fitness coaches. And like part of that for me it's a huge interest of mine also. Obviously, this is my passion. And when I work with these coaches, I get to relay a lot of that information, or I get to learn new ways. But it really is the golden, this for me, that saying, summer bodies are built in the winter. It's true. It is true. And I think it might seem like a clever marketing slogan. It's not that. Because when we get into the other side of the autumn winter, to some degree, you want to be on the ground running. You don't want to be starting from scratch, because every time you start from scratch, ladies, every time it gets a little bit harder than the time before. Because every time we crash diet, what happens is we compromise muscle mass. Your body will not retain muscle unless you are eating enough protein and doing all of the things. Like muscle is built and earned. That is one thing that we're going to see a huge divide on now that the GLP-1s and the Ozempic and all of those type of things have come onto the market. That will be what we see aesthetically. Previously it was always the women who were sort of like wanting to lose weight versus the women who lost weight. Like losing weight now is, it's a needle away in some people's mindsets, which is very dangerous. But anyway, but what we will see is shape, tone, a healthy, fit looking body, like that's got to be built and earned. You can't fast track muscle. But you can't build it, of course. I've actually had a client message me this morning. She's 49. She blows me away. She's absolutely amazing. Like her workload and her life and just everything that she's got going on, but her dedication to show up for herself just in the small ways that she can. She's totally over that whole trying to keep up with the Joneses. She's like, Nick, I'm of an age now where I just got to do me. I want to protect my own energy, my own boundaries. I want to get after my results. She sent me an update this morning. Oh my gosh, the abs. Like, she blows me away. But she's very much of this mindset now of like, okay, it's got to be built. I've got to earn it. These are the small ways in which I can show up. And she actually inspires a lot of what I talk about, because I see through the work that we do together how achievable it is. So the seasonal shift, let's talk about it. We're in the throes of November. It's got cold, it's wet, it's dark outside. I know I've spoken about this on previous podcasts, but it's so important to keep talking about what is actually relevant right now. Like, what is stopping us in our tracks? It's not something that we talk about and then we move away from it because guess what, like, next subject. That's what I'm saying. That's what sort of like social media is just pinging out information. That's great, but actually let's talk about the stuff that is, it's a recurring, like, it's keeping us sort of stuck right now. Like the change in season, the motivation to want to get up. Like, I was saying this the other day to a guy at the gym, because we were both there at like 5:45 a.m. and it was a freezing cold morning. Like, I get that Raynaud, so my fingers were white, and I was saying to him like, roll on when we've got to get up and de-ice the car, because there's been many a times when I get up of a morning and the car is completely solid with ice. It's 5:30, I've got to be at the gym shortly, I've committed. It's like, it's not happening. It's just annoying that I've now got to go in and get the hot water and do all of the things. But that for some people is, that's the sticking point, that's the limit. I ain't defrosting the car, I'm not going out in the cold of a morning. And so instantly that creates a shift, because spring, summer. So I'm talking about the importance of accountability now, because in the spring, summer, we feel like that's when we need it. We feel like, right, this is when I need an arse kicking, wearing my bikini in like 6 weeks or whatever it is. That's not it. You imagine if you build those habits now. Oh my gosh, imagine where you're going to be by the time that sun comes out, because we all know it's so much easier to get out when the sun is shining of a morning. How much can we all turn into morning people, or get that walk after work, or order that healthier lunch option in the summer? Like, we're not playing to our, or we're playing to our strengths, maybe is the right saying, instead of actually working with our weak spots, which is, this is where we need accountability. And sometimes I think what sets women back as well is the thought that, but I'm not going to be able to get to that goal weight in the autumn, winter, because I've got too much on. Like, we've got something on every single weekend in December, and I know what the office treats are like at this time of year, and I know I'm going to be drinking loads, so I'm not going to possibly achieve that X golden number, so it's not really worth it. It's not really worth doing it now if I can't. Like, you need to remove that mindset, because that number is keeping you stuck. Because what you're doing to yourself is, every autumn, winter, you're putting yourself in a position where you never really feel good about the overindulgence. It always comes at the cost of feeling guilty and a bit like shit the next day. Pardon the swear words. But then we'd rather just go like hard and fast spring, summer, and just hope that we're going to get to that number, but then we're going to let it all go again in the autumn, winter. Like, the cycle is just going to continue on. Mentally and physically, it becomes a lot tougher as the years go on. So we already sort of like feel that shift starting to happen. Energy starts to feel lower just as a byproduct. And then what I see again, like the division between the camps, is the women who've got accountability. It's such a powerful thing, because for them, they are going into this time of year with structure, and they're going into this time of year with more resilience. They've got that reminder on the reason why we're doing this. We're not doing it, for the bikini. We're doing it because, remember, you want to feel a certain kind of way. You don't want to feel overwhelmed when you get to the buffet. You don't want to feel completely out of control once Friday comes and you're tempted by a glass of wine, and then the next thing you're like 1.5 bottles in. Like, we want to get back to, I tell you what it is, ladies, it's getting back to having somewhere in the chaos, a plan for yourself. And somewhere along the line, we just feel as though it's acceptable to let ourselves freeball. Like, don't worry about myself and my goals. Like, they are important, but if I can cover up and worry about that later, realistically, no one needs to know that in the back of my mind, I wish that I felt stronger and fitter and healthier. And again, like, mentally, we torture ourselves with this, but then only ever in the quiet moments when we're on our own. So we show up at work a certain way, we show up with our friends a certain way, even in front of our partners. But then when we're on our own internal narrative and our own self-belief, it's impacted by the fact that we're in this cycle. So the women who've got accountability at this time of year, their goal is not to be bikini ready. Like, that's not the goal. The goal is to thrive through autumn, winter, and that looks totally different. And what does thriving mean? Ultimately, it means having the ability to show up as your best self, feel your best self, walk with confidence, walk with good energy, have that level of self-control. You know, like, we admire others who've got that level of self-control. Going back to the meeting I was at this week, and we were talking about emotions, habits and behaviours. We just kind of went off on a tangent around a dinner table, and especially if that dinner table was a complete mix of all of these different, like, men, women, different ages, different shapes, different sizes. And I was like, there would 100% be women around that dinner table, especially if it was going to be like buffet style, who would be panic stricken at the thought of what to eat, what to choose, where they're going to factor in sort of like the amount of cardio that's going to be needed to burn off this food. And then there'll be this opposite end of the spectrum whereby women will be thinking, right, okay, I'm on a diet, I cannot break the diet. Put some food on your plate, just don't eat it. Just put it on your plate, push it around, maybe cut it up, maybe have a mouthful, and just give the impression that you're eating. Just like, you know, somewhere in the middle of those two extremes is just utter confidence, utter knowing, clear boundaries, real like knowledge as to what is going to serve me best. This is also lacking, is that, like, we don't have the knowledge to understand what's going to work. And so again, we find ourselves freeballing, and then we're scrambling on Instagram because we just need some good recipes to get us back on track, or, you know, the top 10 ways to lose 10 pounds in a week, or whatever it is. And somewhere in the middle is, oh, it's thriving no matter what. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. And it comes with flexibility. It comes with a level of self-acceptance, understanding that my body's going to, probably fluctuate a little with the seasons. I'm good with that, because I know in autumn, winter, I am building a healthier, more resilient, stronger, fitter version of myself. And she's not always going to be the spring, summer body. Like, that's okay. There's got to be periods, there's got to be seasons of building. That doesn't mean that we gain a shed ton of weight. And it also doesn't mean that we just let the wheels come off until we're ready to get back on course. So really, the next however many weeks we've got until the back end of this year, really it's just about getting consistent while still allowing for flexibility. And waiting doesn't work. We know this, waiting does not work, because there's never a perfect time, ladies. There's never a perfect time for anything. We know that. There was never a perfect time to have kids, to get married, to make the career move, to move house, or whatever it is. It's just, sometimes it just comes along, or sometimes it's just got to happen, or sometimes our hand is forced. But there's very rarely a perfect time, unless it's something that you've been working towards and make it happen. And I would always argue that actually, when it comes to your health and fitness, more so than ever, the most perfect time is the time when you feel like the biggest struggle is for you. Because if you can nail that, think about it, if you can nail the toughest time, imagine where you're going to be when you normally find it a little bit easier. Like, I know that that's such a mind-blowing thing. It's like, I've never thought about it like that. Imagine if I could manage and navigate, like, the weekends, the holidays, the social occasions, the autumn, winter, the month of December, the Christmas period. And I'm not promising that you're not going to gain weight, a couple of pounds. Ladies, if we're going to eat more chocolate, drink more fizz, and just enjoy more downtime, that's going to come with fluctuations, of course it is. But we understand how to manage that. So you will not see any of my clients stuck in the mud in January because we will be on the ground running. So it's really important to understand that the best time is the time when you struggle most. And you know what? In any other area of life, that logic would apply. Like we would apply it, wouldn't we? But when it comes to our health and fitness, we're like, ooh, no, I'd rather just stay stuck, sod it, stick a big jumper on, worry about it later because I don't really want to have to sacrifice the goodies, and I can't possibly get my head around how I'm going to meet those low calories whilst I'm out and about all month of December. Well, maybe there in itself is the penny drop moment. Maybe it's not about ultra low calories, which is possibly what you've done previously and possibly why you feel that there's no room to wiggle when it comes to getting to where you want to be. But the all or nothing mindset ultimately is keeping you stuck. And trust me, if you're already nervous about the fact that you started to gain a couple of pounds, I want you to cast your mind now forward 6 to 8 weeks and think about if you continue on in the same way. And it actually has like this snowball effect at Christmas, doesn't it? So if you imagine a snowball, you start pushing it in the snow, and the more you push it, the more snow, and it gathers momentum. That's what happens to our waistline and our resilience and mental health and everything else coming towards the back end of the year, is that it gains momentum, like the increase on the scales, or the losing our fitness levels because we've pulled away from going to the gym or whatever it is. Like it gains momentum as we come towards the back end of the year. So let's talk about the power of accountability and how you can start to plug some of that in now. First of all, if you've not listened to the episode, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I'm talking about how to build structure and not essentially how to stop falling off of a weekend. Go back and have a little listen to that because I talked to you all about how to build structure and the importance of it and why it should look different Monday to Friday. And you can apply that to any, we can apply it to going on holiday, we can apply it to the festive periods, because with all of my clients, I approach December as a season in itself. So we know the seasons spring, summer, autumn, winter, but I really approach December as a season with my clients because there's opportunity everywhere. There is always opportunity to push and to pull, and it's good. There's a healthy amount of kicking back at the festive time of year that we should be allowing ourselves to enjoy. I also smashed some personal fitness goals last December, just unplanned. But for me, it's not a time to kick my feet up and just eat crap and drink alcohol and start to feel a little bit foggy and just muddle through. Like it's push pull. Honestly, if you can go into the month of December with good energy, it's such a feeling, ladies. And you've heard me say this before, but the overindulgence, it loses its appeal. It's really not that appealing. That wasn't the fun time after all. The fun time was being with my favourite people and seeing my kids happy and doing fun things with my kids and making memories. Like all along, that was the fun. The fun was never the overindulgence. We just associate the two. So if we can get you moving with more of a spring in your step in December, I promise what a feeling that is. Like what a feeling that is. So structure removes the overwhelm. Go back, have a little listen to that episode. But really it's about building structure around the free days, the days when we're not built, governed to our work schedules, school schedules, club drop-offs, whatever it might be. Feedback builds confidence. Feedback really builds confidence, and this is where accountability can be golden, because when you are working with a coach, part of a community, maybe you and your friends are keeping each other accountable, or you and your partner. I've got clients who they've rallied their husbands on board and they're doing things together, whether it's staying accountable around no alcohol in the house or limiting takeaways or whatever it is. But they're giving each other feedback as well, which is great because they're lifting each other up. Because we all go through these little ebbs and flows. We all get those little moments, don't we, where we need that bit of feedback on the things that we're doing well. I think one of the things that we're hardwired as women, I don't know whether men also have the same hardwiring, is we're always looking forward. So we're constantly looking to the next. But what's the next thing that I've got to get after, and what's the next progress step or whatever it might be? And we fail to acknowledge how far we've come and the progress that we've made, and that version of ourselves that we've left behind that felt like we could never achieve what we've got now. Like, we don't even acknowledge it. So getting some feedback from a positive, and also there will be times when if you just had the feedback on how to tweak and fine tune, you would be able to move the needle. So sometimes when we're stuck, and I've said this to clients, sometimes when you're stuck, you're less willing, or you're less likely to want to reach out. A lot of women struggle to ask for help when they are stuck, because we innately feel like we should be able to get ourselves out of this. Let me just get myself out of this little hole that I'm in, because I know what I need to do. We tell ourselves, don't we? I know what I need to do. I just need to stop doing this, start doing this, and then I'm going to ask for help. And I'm like, when I feel like I'm back on the ground running, no, that's not when we ask for help. Ask for help when you're stuck. When you are stuck, we need to remove the shame and the fear, maybe, around asking for help, because actually that bit of feedback on, okay, this is how we're going to move the needle, and it's not all of those overwhelming things that you're thinking about, it's just this, then we're going to plug in this. That can be ingenious for just giving you that like self-belief and confidence, like that support, that continued support that creates momentum. So, and momentum can be emotional health, mental health, physical results. I think most of us on some level, we want those physical results. Like, that impacts so much. If we could just get to that physical result, emotionally we'd feel so much more stable, because we'd be in control, because ultimately to get to the physical result, you need to be taking care of yourself. So that plays into the emotional well-being, mindset, mental, all of that side of it. Like, think about what you torture yourself with when it comes to mindset. Think of that inner critic. Like, what does she say? How would that change if mentally, physically and emotionally you were closer to where you want to be, or you had the confidence that actually I'm in control here. I can see the results coming. I can see the momentum starting to build. Like, all of a sudden that mindset, like a switch is flicked. I'm often asked this, like, Nick, how do you just stay in that mindset all of the time? First of all, I don't. I absolutely don't stay in that mindset all of the time. But when you do get yourself to the point where it's your reason why is, it's so anchored, it's so locked in, you're so confident with the choices that you're making, and you've got that self-acceptance. I absolutely know my body has changed a lot this year. Again, thanks hormones. And there's been peaks and troughs, and like there's periods of like, oh, okay, what I used to do is not working, because I can feel myself going backwards here. Okay, time to reroute. Like, I would never beat myself up, and I don't want you to do that either. If things are starting to change and your approach needs to be tweaked or altered, that's okay. That's okay. That's normal. Ladies, we go through this huge change in our 40s, and up until being in our 40s, I don't think we really acknowledge it, understand it, talk about it. Things are supposed to change, and we are supposed to change with that. And this is why coaching works, because we have all of these other plates that we're spinning. And so it's really hard to acknowledge for ourselves what we need to do differently, or why we're stuck. Like, we'll always find a reason to blame ourselves, won't we, ultimately? And I would like to think that inside of Thriving Women, particularly with my one-to-one, but also with the group coaching, it's not just information that you're getting given. It's coaching, it's support, it's transformation. It is ultimate transformation, every level, mental, physical, emotional well-being. It's transformative. Like, I was asked by somebody earlier in the week, like, what is it? If you could, if your clients could surmise what it is they get out of working with you, what would they say? And I was like, this sounds like a really bold statement, but I think they would say it transforms their life, because it's not just a fat loss plan, it's transformative on every level. I've got clients this year who have made massive life decisions based on the fact that they've rebuilt confidence in themselves, and that's come from taking better care of themselves from the inside out. And yes, leaning into doing some of the uncomfortable stuff, whether that's around nutrition, whether that's around plugging in some fitness goals, whether it's just around simple foundational accountability, managing your sleep, managing your stress, getting those steps, making sure we're staying well hydrated. Like, why are you neglecting yourself? Because a lot of the time I see women so freely neglecting themselves, but the transformative decisions and impact that this has to just everything is wild. And that's coaching. That is coaching. That's what we're striving for inside of Thriving Women. Like, I truly believe that there's an opportunity for us all to thrive. And I want you to think about this week. This is the takeaway for this week. What does thriving look like for me? I really want you to think about that. Don't turn the podcast off and then just put the radio on and just carry on. Like, think about it. Give yourself this opportunity to go, what does thriving look right now for me? I guarantee a lot of the time it won't be a number on a scale. It'll be a feeling. It'll be an energy level. It'll be a way that you speak to yourself. It'll be a way that you show up. It'll be the habits, the behaviours, maybe some of the activities that you really want to take part in, the way that you hold yourself when you walk into a room. I'm not shrinking when I walk into a room. I want to thrive. I want to walk in and feel confident, and I want to feel like I'm able to take up space and that my voice is worthy of being heard, and I want to bring something to the conversation and not be second guessing whether the other people are liking me or thinking I'm overweight or looking at me because my clothes have got a little bit tighter than last time they saw me. And, you know, what does thriving truly look and feel like to you? And if you need help figuring that out, drop me a message. Like, please, I say this and it comes with such a, like, I genuinely mean it. Drop me a message, drop me a DM. Likewise, if you've listened to this episode and you've thought, I needed to hear that, save it, re-listen to it. Say it with your mindset. We have to re-listen, we have to train our minds the way we do our physical body. So the takeaway this week, what does it truly mean to thrive to you? If you have listened to this and you're thinking, oh, accountability support this time of year, like, this is all penny drop and I've never thought of that, I've never even had that, come and join us. Come and join us. Drop me a message, inquire, reach out, head to the links below in the show notes or to my Instagram or wherever you can find me online. There will be links to Thriving Women. I am currently open to one-to-one coaching, always a small number of one-to-one, based on the fact that I am going to give you one-to-one, but group coaching. But just being a part of the community, ladies, and knowing that you've got that support, you've got those tools, you've got the advice. And yeah, maybe ask yourself, like, where would I be 6 weeks from now if I just start? I get some accountability. I allow myself to think differently. That's it. Allowing yourself to think differently. Stop putting yourself in a position where you think that this time of year can only go a certain way. It can only be a certain way. There can only be one outcome for you. That's a limiting belief that you are putting on yourself. And I am offering you the opportunity to think differently, act differently, perform differently, show up in a different way, feel amazing going into the month of December. I wish that for you all. I hope that you've enjoyed this week's episode, ladies. And I will catch you all on the next. Have a fabulous rest of your day. Please share this episode if it was impactful, if it resonated. Send me your feedback. And yeah, have a thriving week. Thanks, ladies.